Hello everyone, Johnny Hurricane here from GamersHeroes.com, and why don't you sit back, relax, and let me tell you what's to come in the Alters. Alright, recently got invited to a Frostpunk and Alters preview event. I was not able to play either. I only got to watch presentations, so let's just be clear, I didn't play anything. The Alters begins with you playing as a man named Jan. You've landed on a distant planet, and basically you are, well, I don't know if you're running the mining, you're running it now, but when you got here, you guys are mining a very rare ore, rare mineral. It's called rapidium, and obviously it's fake, but basically it helps organic matter grow quicker, like, food, trees, or even people, as we'll find out. Long story short, you and your crew arrive on the planet. There is a mining accident, and you, quote unquote, are the only survivor left. You find what they describe as your last hope, and then you are able to start creating alters, which are you. Alternate versions of you from different timelines. Like, hey, instead of going to university, you stuck in your hometown and actually became a miner. Or when you were at university, you went to a higher education and became a chemist. There's a multiple different alters that you can make, which of course is going to give you a lot of different paths and storylines. But on the planet, you are here to mine, so that is what you'll still be doing. You go out, and the way they showed it was basically set up these like little beacons, and they scan underground like, oh, the ore is here, and then you can set up a extractor. But you have to worry about the sun because it rotates, and it will not only scorch you, it will destroy your base. I shouldn't say the sun rotates. The planet rotates, and the sun, eventually burns your base, which is being shown right now. So your incentive is still to technically mine the planet because you need this rapidium to build more alters. But that's not all you're going to be doing. You are going to be expanding your base, which I guess that's another reason to keep mining, is you need the materials. You're going to be exploring the planet. They didn't show any like aliens or anything that seemed to be a major threat outside of elemental things. And by that I mean like lava, like the elements. So I don't know if there's actually going to be any external threat outside of, like I said, the elements. But inside, after you have your alters, each of them has different needs. We're going to use the mining one as an example. He lost his arm in a mining accident, so now it's like a robot arm, and he's still not a mining accident on this planet. Like the alter suffered a mining accident back home, and now he's addicted to opioids. So one of the early choices is, do you give him a drug to help him with his pain, or do you not? And if you do, he's like, cool, man, I can get back to work right now. And of course, there ends up being an accident because, that's just how it goes. And then when you confront him, he's basically like, yeah, man, I don't know, just something just sort of happened. And then from there, you got to be like, no, I know exactly what happened. You're not getting any more of this stuff. And then he gets pissy, and then then you have to figure that out as well. Then there's the more like sim elements, right? Like, hey, we don't have beds. We're not happy we don't have beds, or we don't have good food. There's a bunch of different things you can build in your base that are going to help improve the conditions and the mood of your alters. And then, of course, if you have too many alters, you're going to need to get food. So it is a survival strategy game still with crafting. As for the building, it's not like a traditional survival game. You can't go out and build wherever you want. You have this structure that you have to build within. This is where your sort of pods go, your living pod, your food pod, working out, technology, and of course the place where you make your alters. So it's more of like a XCOM or a Fallout shelter where everything has to sort of fit perfectly. And then of course you can move this base because, well, that's what you got to do to avoid being burnt by the sun. So this is another reason to go gather resources. And of course, it's a good way to keep your alters happy and of course get new upgrades and new equipment so that you can keep mining new and better stuff and look at new spots on the planet. One thing they did mention is that you will have to watch out for like radiation bursts on the planet. This looked more of like more like, hey, you need a new item to progress through this area. This sort of seemed like a Metroidvania thing. Like you need a certain suit to go through this. So there are a few other things to watch out on the planet, but again, I didn't see no aliens. And one last thing I want to mention is there is still contact with Earth. So you do receive missions and you can still do certain things from the past. They mentioned, they were talking about his wife. So the main guy is divorced to him, but one of your alters wasn't divorced from his wife. So you had to get information from your alter to calm down your ex-wife back on Earth to, convince her that you were alive or something like that. I didn't quite get that part, but You still have contact with Earth, which means you will still get missions, which is good. That means that if eventually you could probably leave the planet. I'm not actually sure how it's going to end. Maybe you do stay here. I'm not sure. But there is no date for it. I do want to say that the movement on the planet looked a little floaty, which I guess you can argue is maybe the gravity, but it was just like, I don't know. It's not a big deal. If you're not fighting any enemies, the movement doesn't have to be super crisp and clean. I just want it to feel natural. That's all. But I'll be honest, I had no idea what this game was, and I probably would not have went if they didn't invite me to Frostpunk first. But after watching the trailer and hearing the presentation and listening to the developers and all that stuff, I'm pretty hyped for this. It doesn't have a release date at the moment outside of 2024, I believe. So, I mean, keep an eye on it. I'm sure we're going to get some more of it. Frostpunk's probably coming first. So, anyways, that'll do it for me. If you liked what you saw and got what you needed, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later, Gators.